Oh, I'm not even going to comment on individual lines here. I couldn't really take it all in. My mind was all over the place. And remember these one-to-one interactions you can have with people. These one-to-one interactions, these personal interactions can really help someone. Although the system is broken, the world is sick, please don't forget that we are people living with people. Hi and welcome back. I'm going to jump into this one pretty quickly. I just want to say one thing. This is a massively complex subject. There's different cultures, there's different religions, there's differences in personal opinions, and I respect that. And in reaction videos, you don't always get much time to think through exactly what you were going to say, or sometimes how it's coming across. It is not my intention to offend anyone's belief or insult anyone's belief or be insensitive to what people think. And if that comes across, then I do apologise in advance. So let's just jump straight into this one.
Through the cracks of the night sky, a light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Oh, treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. I'm so fucking lonely beneath this. Narcissistic, can't keep a secret. Miscount sheep, I can't sleep, a misfit. Some say trouble, but some say sadistic. Bruises my brother, one time or the other. My skin felt counterfeit, silicone rubber. Bruises my sister, skin pop the blister. Dig deep, resist the feeling when it hits you. Falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Treading on the track.
Well, this has a very different feel to what I normally react to with Ren. There's no bardcore here, but this has a great, I don't know what you call it. Is it groove? A great groove to it. And that chorus, that's going to be an earworm. Probably not the most appropriate earworm for me to be singing out loud in my place of work. I say that somewhat lightheartedly. But I think there's actually something interesting going on here. It's still mostly a very taboo subject that we don't talk about often. It can be very stigmatizing for people. But using it in this way, Ren is making it a bit more accessible, if that makes sense. He's making it okay to say. He's almost softening it a little bit. You know, let's not be afraid of the word. Knowing Ren, I say knowing Ren as if I know Ren, but you know what I mean. Knowing what I've heard from Ren in the past, then that's by design. It's very clever. And a few kind of words or lines that kind of stood out to me there. Miscount sheep, I can't sleep. So whatever is going on inside Ren's head is consuming him so much he can't even focus on, you know, the act of counting. And I'm guessing that's something to do with the person who the song is about. And then there's a few other words in a line. Something about narcissistic, and then some say troubled, some say sadistic. Some say troubled, some say sadistic. And I think Ren is saying here that people have different views. Some people think those people are troubled. So people think about their experiences and they want to end their pain and their distress. Whereas some people will think that other people say it but don't really mean it. So it's maybe used in a more sadistic way to perhaps try and control other people. I think that's the sadistic part, maybe, that inflicting pain on someone else using those words and using what those words mean. And I know that probably sounds very controversial. And when I think back in my head about what I've just said, I really hope it's come across as I meant it to. Now, we're talking about different perspectives here. We need to take it seriously. And when we can, we need to listen to that person. We need to offer them compassion. We need to, offer them a space so we can try to understand what's going on for them. I really hope I've made that clear.
In the night time, it never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Sick boy, bitten by a tech boy. I feel like it's not me, it's the world that's sick. I'm so fucking washed up and seasick. Masochistic kid with a split lip. 6 feet deep, I can't eat, I'm nervous. Won't stay down cause my body purges. Useless my mother, can't keep in my supper. Skin so pale cause my cheeks leak colour. Truth is my father, you choose your karma. Draw for the sword, then drive through the armour. Oh, falling through the cracks of the night sky. A light goes out on the other side. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Oh, I, treading on the tracks in the night time. It never really felt like the right time. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
This animation is incredible. You really get drawn into it. And there's skeletons walking around. Ren's face is changing all the time. Is that to suggest that most people experience what he is experiencing? Or maybe it's more to do with when people are so focused on their thoughts and you're trying to work out, what happened, what went on. You can't really focus on the world. It's all in the background, shifting around, almost like some form of dissociation or depersonalization where nothing just seems real. And there was the really cool reference to sick boy there. And again, those standout words, I'm not sick, it's the world that's sick. And shortly afterwards, there's some footage of what I assume is a homeless person living in the street, trying to make some money through busking. The world is sick. We have people living in mansions with more space than they know what to do with. On the other end of that spectrum, we have people sleeping in the streets, unable to feed themselves properly, unable to wash and stay clean, freezing at night. And I think we all know that that is wrong. And it shouldn't be a surprise that some of those people want to end that pain and suffering that they're stuck in, when there's other ways that we can help. And we see Ren later on giving some money to the busker. Is that to try and symbolize that we can help each other, we can help another person, we can make human to human connections? Despite the fact that the world is sick on a very population level, there's still these little exchanges we can make every day, just one-on-one with people. That doesn't have to stop.
Suicide, suicide, suicide. Suicide, suicide, suicide.
It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. The entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sager, Justin, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. The distance is my plaster cast. The truth is to the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find that anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, cause I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you absurd. Fuck.
Whoa. I need to listen to that again.
There's some that came from car. It's hard to take off from the ground when your wings are cut. Your stomach burns when you're drinking from an empty cup. You know the entire ocean came from my tear ducts. I see the world through Fibonacci sequences and double Dutch. I guess there's some that's born lucky, there's some that's not. I tried to cut away my bitterness, hatchet job. I locked my youth inside a trunk, inside a pickup truck, then dumped the whole thing over that same bridge the night you jumped. I think about that sometimes, vividly. What it felt like to look down and see tranquility. One sudden movement in a world of possibility. Only one movement to expose our fragility. I fucking miss you, and I miss myself. I miss thinking we were indestructible as well. I miss chilling by the pier cave and kicking back with Callum, Hugo, Sega, Justin, Stevie and the fucking lads. I miss missing that. I numb myself to close the gap. I never even call them up. The distance is my plaster cast. The truth is that the day you jumped, my childhood jumped too. But I still can't find that anger. All I find is missing you, man, I miss you. With all my rhymes, I picture running 5 minutes quicker, I'm right on time. I picture pulling you back over the edge and then we're crying, and holding you, my brother, and telling you that it's fine. Not the way that it worked, cause I was late like a jerk. There's not a day where I could find a way to break from the hurt. Your body missing, so we never got to wave to the hearse. I hope you're listening, I love you, man, I miss you absurd. Fuck.
Oh. I'm not even going to comment on individual lines here. I couldn't really take it all in. My mind was all over the place. I was thinking about Ren and what he went through and how difficult that must have been for him. I was imagining myself running to someone and getting there too late. My mind was relating Ren's experience to my own experience of knowing people who have died through risky behaviours, but those risky behaviours were a result of them trying to cope with experiences. But gosh, that brought up so much stuff. It's powerful, man. So I have some idea this is about a friend, but I had no idea this is how it happened. I mean, how do you ever really get over that? That guilt, or maybe that shame, those what if questions. If I'd been there sooner, if I had just said something slightly different, if I had been there when they called that time. And there's no real answers to any of these questions, so it just gnaws away at you. And in my experience, and there's a big caveat there, I'm not talking for everyone here, but from the conversations I've had, it's more a case of they don't want to die, but they don't know how to live given the situation that they are in. And I think we have to be aware of that nuance. We've got to get better at this stuff. It can't be blamed on biological problems and mental illness, that some people may suggest. It may be a small part of it. It isn't an individual's problem. It's not a problem within them. It's a systemic, societal problem. Sometimes they get sectioned. Sometimes they get taken to what's called a place of safety, which can be a police custody. And it all becomes about this idea of risk very quickly. It stops becoming about the person's experience and it becomes about risk. And what do we know about risk assessments? We know they don't really work. They don't really tell us much. In fact, the evidence for risk assessments is so overwhelmingly poor that the NICE guidance, so NICE gives kind of guidance and advice about standards of care. NICE state, don't use risk assessment tools because they don't work. They also say don't class people as low, medium and high risk that we used to do in the NHS. We don't do it so much anymore. And not only because that doesn't work, but again, we can't categorize people into boxes. We need to focus on the person as a person, the human being. And there's a quote, and I can't remember who said it, and I'll see if I can find it, and I'll put up a little text box somewhere. But the quote is, our best way to try and respond to that and to understand is to ask, where do you hurt and how can I help you? We're not launching into risk assessments. We're not asking questions about family history. We're asking, where do you hurt and how can I help you? And that's a good place to start to try to understand what is going on for that person. We have to be able to have these conversations. And I'm going to give some personal opinion here. And not everyone would agree with this. And I feel like there's a big push everywhere at the moment about being more open about mental health. It's on social media a lot. It's on telly a lot. There's celebrities talking about it. But I don't think we're getting very far. It feels like we're just skating over the surface. We talk around it a lot, but not about it. I don't think we are having the difficult conversations that we need to be having. And actually people like Ren and NF feel like they are truly opening up and showing vulnerability. They're the few I've come across, but we need more. Ask yourself this. Would you turn to a family member or a partner or a friend or a work colleague or a manager and say that you feel really distressed right now, or that you feel really anxious or you feel really scared? I'm not sure we are any more comfortable having those conversations than we were 10 or 15 years ago. We need to get better at this stuff. I don't know how. What we're doing now isn't enough. Maybe it's moving in the right direction, but we can do more. And remember these one-to-one interactions you can have with people. These one-to-one interactions, these personal interactions can really help someone. Although the system is broken, the world is sick, please don't forget that we are people living with people. Okay, that's me done. As usual, I've brought up more questions than I have answers. I have, I think I read in a tweet, someone opened a tweet, started a tweet recently with the phrase, "I'm now going to make my brain your problem." I kind of feel like I've done that a bit. Ren, thank you for such a heartfelt, emotive track yet again. To the renegades out there, to those in the Renaissance, thanks for bringing Ren to my attention once again. Oh, and I just want to add actually to the end of this video, some, I think, exciting news. I'm getting a bit more reach than I used to on this channel, and I want to try and use that as best as I can to help as many people as I can. I'm working on a video series about managing emotions and this idea of psychological flexibility and acceptance that Ren talks about quite a lot. It's going to be, I think, about 8 videos long. It's going to be available on this YouTube channel. It's obviously going to be free. I know it won't help everyone. I know it won't change society or the system. It won't change the world. That's sick. But if it does help just one person, then all of the energy I've put into it will have been worth it. If you want to know when that series is uploaded, then obviously please subscribe to the channel. I'm in the process of updating my website around this video series to make it easier for people to access it if they want to access it on my website instead of YouTube. If you head over to my current website, you can sign up to a newsletter there to receive notifications about these videos. Once I've done that series, I'm going to use the feedback and comments from it to do a series about trauma, video series about trauma. And it'd be really cool if you could join me with this journey. I want to make this as collaborative. I want to co-create it, with you, with my subscribers, with my viewers, and really make this something worthwhile for people. Laters.